Niners! Fam, week 5, Red Gold GM. See, this is the Koolwhipzz weekend, right? Koolwhipzz last year, he said Javon Kinlaw Brandon Aiyuk in the first round. Fam, nobody has ever done that. I think we've had maybe one or two. Well, it was Nick Bosa. That was too easy. But I don't know if that's ever happened. Kool, come on in, man.
Hey, I'm here.
Kool, man. I'm telling you, dude. I mean, you get like the Red and Gold GM Hall of Fame honor for that, man. Nobody's ever come close to doing that. I think we've had people pick other rounds and came up with players, but first round, and I didn't even know they're going to trade up in the first round. I was like upset because we got Javon Kinlaw, and I wanted a wide receiver last year. I'm sitting there pouting, lips all stuck out and upset. I'm trying to get happy about Javon because I know we need that position. And then what did the 49ers do toward the end of the first round? And the 49ers have traded back up into the first round. Oh, why? 49ers select Brandon Aiyuk. Whoa! Who was that? I didn't know who he was. I do now.
No,
So,
he virtually is the most unheard of wide receiver last year that was going in the first 2 rounds. I mean, but Herm Edwards was his coach there at Arizona State. So he's, they're him and John Lynch are very tight. So there's a connection there. And so that worked out pretty well. And the sky's the limit for that guy. Yeah. Because I think he can only get better. As long as you have somebody who can deliver the ball to him, it's lights out. He is the complete wide receiver. He's very physical. And, there are
get that yak.
There are some pretty good wide receivers in this class as well. So we'll dissect through it and find out.
One question, Kool. Who was the quarterback in Arizona for Aiyuk?
I don't know if it was the same quarterback that was K. Neal Harry, which was the same quarterback then, and I do believe that Darby is the wide receiver now that's coming out in this year's draft. So I think it's the same quarterback for those 3 years. And but the thing that you have to understand is that it's not a wide receiver, college that just, wheels a whole bunch of wide receivers out. So Herm Edwards has a way of getting these guys, whether they're junior college transfers or he's able to find something in a player and get the best out of it.
Develop it. Yeah. Herm Edwards is from Monterey, California, too, originally. So he's like a Cali. I'm sure he's a 49er fan. He might have been a Raider fan. I'll bet you, Herb. He seems like a Raider fan type when he was probably a kid, though. For some reason.
He's Cal Berkeley. He's Cal Berkeley, and his father was a military guy, so he grew up, over there at Fort Ord, over in that area. So he's really gung ho. Cal Berkeley.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, school. Let's get started with what you got in store for us this year. You're on.
All right. Well, for the number 3 pick, there's so many rumors out there right now, and nobody's tipping their hand. And you can't say this, that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they're those type of guys that are not leaking information or not leaking what their true information is going out to the media. So they can, I think, the smoke screen on Mac Jones, it's got to be a smoke screen, because why would you jeopardize, 2 number 1s and flip-flopping with the other number 1 and getting rid of a number 3 pick just to move up for a guy who might go at 12 anyway.
Yep.
So I just don't see it. There's something else that that we don't know, and I do believe that Zach Wilson is on the board, and and Fields is on the board, Trey
Cool.
Lance is on the board.
Wait, cool
Yes,
question.
sir.
Zach Wilson? I see, this is what's driving me nuts. Is everybody, Jets, people are buying Zach Wilson jerseys already in New York.
No,
Is he, are the Jets, are they gonna renege on this? After, it seems like the media's been pumping it up. Even the Jets have been seen doing things, but that's rumor and report about that driving around greater New York City area looking for real estate for the Wilson family. Is this a joke? You think Zach's
I
going to
wouldn't.
be
I wouldn't.
available?
I wouldn't exactly put a signature on it right now because something tells me that they're taking a very hard look at Fields and Trey Lance because you know you get you got to think New York is like the biggest media market there is. So you're
Scary
going to
too.
have to get someone who is larger than life. And I think that um, Zach Wilson, he's only had this one really good year, and the one game, the one team that you know that he lost to, Coastal Carolina, they really handed it to him. I mean, he didn't look that good in that game, and so I'm not really. I mean, I think that he has all the tools. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers as far as his passing ability, but you got to remember also he's gone through shoulder surgery, so you know what he hasn't really played the competition. Just like they could say Trey Lance hasn't played the competition, but Trey Lance also, we got two. There's two different animals there. I mean, these two guys are totally different players. Um, so what I would have to
Okay.
say is don't don't look past Fields or it could be any one of those three, but um, the way they're saying everything is Zach Wilson is more than likely going to be the second pick of the draft. So that brings
Mm.
us
All right.
to the possibilities of what we have in number three. And I went back and forth on this, you know, multiple times. And I will have to say that my number three pick is Trey Lance. And the reason why I have to put Trey Lance as the number three pick is, he ran a pro style offense. The guy, he knows how to run a team. And what I mean by running a team, he knows how, he knows that some of the defensive formations, he knows how to call pass protection. He's able to adapt on the fly. And then one thing you have to understand is that when things get rough, that he can scoodle, and either do an option. He's just mobile. And when you have someone that is mobile, that I mean, just look at it right there. Mahomes, you got Josh Allen, you got you know Kyle Murray. I mean, these guys, they're all mobile quarterbacks. And so you add a dimension like Russell Wilson is the total um, person you can look at when things are rough and he has to run, then he's able to run. So right now look at the three quarterbacks that we've had for this past year. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, you got C.J. Beathard, and you had Nick Mullins. None of those guys were mobile enough to avoid a pass rush. And we all know that there are parts of our offensive line that are the weak link. And when I say weak link, you're going to have to be able to avoid a pass rush. So that's why I'm picking. I think that Trey Lance, even though he started 17 games. This is just as many as Mac Jones. So you have to look at it where, yeah, he didn't play against the competition that Mac Jones played, against. But then you got to also remember, look at Mac Jones. He had the best offensive line in college football. He had the best wide receivers in college football. And and he couldn't even beat out Tua the year before. So how good is Mac Jones? What is his ceiling? I think he's not he's not much. I don't think he's going to be much more better than he is at this point. And he's also not mobile enough to escape the pass rush. So you got to look at it in a lot of different ways. Now, things have changed a lot. I know that Trey Lance has not. He had one game against a very weak opponent, and the thing about it is that he, despite all that, the only kind of body of work you have is the year before. We had 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he ran like a madman. And when you're 6'4" and you're 240, you're going to be a hard man to bring down. And so you got to remember, this man is only 19 years old, so he's still young, and he's gonna grow. And he's been going to a camp. Well, not a camp, but he's being tutored by Jordan Palmer, which for people that don't know, that's the brother of Carson Palmer, and he also was a quarterback, and so being tutored by Jordan Palmer, and
Right.
he's cut down a lot on his motion, his throwing motion, and one thing you got to remember, he has the strongest arm of any quarterback in this draft. Now, the downfall of, you know, what he is that he doesn't have enough touch on the ball, where he can just, like, if he had to put it in softly over, like, for a screen or what have you, and also that his accuracy is not probably what it needs to be, but he's working on it. So if he can work on those two things, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft. If he can
So,
solidify those two things, he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft.
he's gonna be a star. It's cool. We're gonna move a little quicker though. Uh, I like that. Trey Lance, he's one of my favorite guys. He needs some seasoning from what I can see, but yeah, sounds good. All right, Trey Lance for number what? Cool. Moving to the next. What are you gonna do next?
All right. Well, my second pick, I was going back and forth on, but it's so evident that we need a tall corner. We need a cornerback. Um, so so I'm going with Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. Now, he played in a pretty good defensive scheme, and then on the other side, to play the other corner was Eric Stokes. Both these guys are burners, but Tyson Campbell, he's 6'2", so he's a tall corner, and you know, uh, I think that when you're in the same division as DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins,
Yeah.
you need a guy that's going to be able to battle these guys, because I mean, Verrett, he's a good cover guy, but he's only 5'10", 5'11". Same with Mosley. They're both very small corners. So to be able to battle these big guys, you need a corner that has some length. I was also thinking about Melifonwu as the second round guy as well, but I went with Tyson Campbell because I think that he's played against some really solid um, competition in the SEC. So when you play against some of the best competition, and we're looking at the sixth, seventh cornerback, into the second round, you just keep on going. That's at pick 43. So
All
that's the
right.
way I'm going with that. Tyson Campbell.
All right. All right. And And you're right, because but Jason does do a great job for some reason against D. I want to see that next year one more time, because even during the course of that game last year, as D Hop was just getting stifled, that's why we won that game, because Verrett took D Hop completely away from Kyler Murray. So, but that's not going to work against AJ Green and some of the other big guys. DK Metcalf, we had to put last year, ended up taking Verrett off of him and putting a spoon on DK, who did a good job actually up until the end of the game. But yeah, it's something the 49ers are probably looking at. All right, and moving on.
Yeah, in the third round, I mean, it's time to try to create depth on our offensive line, and so um, when you have a pretty solid offensive line class, I'm looking more at interior offensive linemen. So center slash guard. Quinn Miners is from University of Wisconsin Whitewater. I think he is an old untold story. He was at the Senior Bowl, but wasn't able to play. But he was at practice and he impressed a lot of coaches, and so he's on the coach's watch for probably at least 12, 13 teams. So they're all looking at this cat. So at pick 102, I'm thinking, okay, so we can get Quinn Miners. He would be a pretty good guy to back up Alex Mack, and then the way Shanahan runs his offensive line, he's gonna have to be able to multitask and be able to play, a guard spot. So I'm thinking, you know, right guard that will even help out Alex Mack. So between playing right guard and center, you know, we're going to have a little bit of depth there because and he's also he's also known for the zone blocking scheme as well. So, but he's just a nasty guy. I mean, he's a really physical kind of guy that you want on your team. I'm not saying Richie Incognito type
You
of
know,
nasty, but
that's what I was
he's
going to ask
he's there.
you.
He's in the ballpark. He's gonna show you his physicality, and I think this will be a solid pick if they could get him at 102.
Cool. Hold on just a moment. If you have any questions for today's GM Koolwhipzz, hashtag question, hashtag, and then, of course, your question to follow. Either way, question, hashtag question, then your question, and we'll relay that to Kool right away. Go ahead, Kool. Continue.
Okay, for the fourth round at pick 117, I'm looking at all these spots that we do have a need for, and I couldn't pass up this opportunity to pick a guy that's very physical. And so when I looked at Talanoa Hufanga from USC, the safety, this guy, he reminded me so much of Troy Polamalu. He's 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 that guy who's so physical where I mean he plays the box safety, but he also I mean you could put him in as as a linebacker as well because one thing for sure, this guy is going to make a short tackle. This guy hits. He's very physical, and we haven't had a really physical safety like that maybe since you know Hittner, Andre Whitner, and or Deshaun Goldston. So I think that because Pop Tart, Jaquaski Tart, it's only signed for one more year. I don't think that this should be an opportunity to bring a guy like Hufanga in and get him on the roster. At the very least, you can put this guy on special teams, and he'll go out there and try to, you know, just tear open anybody's kick returns or punt returns. This guy is a really physical kind of guy. And I think this is exactly what the 49ers need. They need to reload on, a physical kind of guy, but a short tackler, a guy who's going to force fumbles. I mean,
Hard hitter.
Ronbo, this guy is forced like multiple, 5 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions. I mean, 5 sacks, 5.5 sacks, and this is just playing for USC. And USC is not what they used to be, but this guy is the real deal. And if you could get him at 117, that's the way you want to roll.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Hey, how big is this guy?
He's 6'1", 215. So he's
Yeah.
like a linebacker size, but he's not the fastest guy in the world. Now we're talking maybe a 4.7. So he's not real fast, but he's a true hitter. I mean, and if there's an open field tackle, he's
Mm.
going to get that tackle. I mean, he's sure-handed tackle. So one thing that you have to see over the years, that all the missed tackles over the years, this guy is a sure tackle, and that's one thing that really attracted me. Besides the physical type of game that he plays, is the sure tackle.
Yeah, because there's nothing more annoying sitting there watching the game and guys sliding off of a tackle as that runner is making his way downfield. You see him make the contact and still got brutalized trying to take the dude down. That is so annoying. So, yeah, we need less of those guys and more of these guys, especially on special teams. That is so essential.
I highly recommend everybody to go look at his YouTube tape. He's exactly what is advertised.
Yeah.
True ball player.
All right. Like it. And
So
true.
you want me to continue? We can go. We got 3 choices in round number 5,
Yeah, I know.
and I got a lot of stuff to go.
All
So
right.
round 5 anyway. So pick 155. I know it was coming and it had to come, but I picked Shi Smith, wide receiver, South Carolina. This guy, he's a blazer, 4.39 speed.
I like that. I
And
like
if you
that.
watch South Carolina, and we have a lot of ties to South Carolina, with the Javon Kinlaw, Debo. We have a lot of connections with South Carolina. And anyway, Shi Smith, we can put him in a slot. He can be the third receiver even. This guy makes plays. He's a playmaker. And so, and one thing that he has a very deep connection with Debo. And when I say deep connection with Debo is like his mentor. And so he still talks to Debo twice a week. This guy he he is he is a very athletic wide receiver, and he would fit in perfectly in the Shanahan offense. I've seen him take end rounds just like Debo, and I've seen him, do those flies. I mean, he knows how to get downfield, and he's blazing. He's just got blazing speed once the ball gets in his hands. And so we need multiple receivers, but we need a slot receiver that is going to be able to stretch the field if necessary, but is able to do, things that, like, for instance, what Debo does. So, the Shanahan offense is endless on what you can do with certain players. So, I mean, he's like a plug and play kind of guy. You can just put him out there, and he will make plays. And so, I think that this is, I mean, this is a good opportunity to get him somewhere that he's going to utilize his talent. And I think that Shanahan will get the talent of, what he's going to bring to the NFL, bring it and get it out of him. So I think I really love this pick. I was thinking about a couple other wide receivers, but I thought this would be the perfect scenario for Shi Smith to get to an NFL team.
Yeah. With that kind of speed, I'm still waiting for that one guy to come in and take that top off that defense. That makes all the world of difference in Shanahan's offense immediately. As I say, after we lost Marquise Goodwin, that offense changed. Even though
Right.
people did not like Marquise, I did because of what he could do. But it's been a struggle through the middle of the field. Defenses don't respect our receivers because everybody feels like They can cover the guys we got, which is why I enjoy the fact the 49ers got a lot of yak masters, but still, it'd be nice to clear out the middle of that field. But yeah, so bring that speed.
This guy will be a this guy will be another yak master because
And
he
if he's
knows
got speed
how
too,
to run
awesome.
after the catch. Yes. Well, yeah, most definitely. Um, you know, I couldn't go past in this draft without thinking about what can we do to complement, complement George Kittle. And last year we had Jordan Reed, and he he was able to make some catches, and but he just couldn't stay healthy the whole year. And so I came up with this guy who is a converted wide receiver. He's a tight end. His name is Quentin Morris. And this is round 5, pick 172, tight end from Bowling Green University. Um, he is a converted wide receiver, but I think that because he's a converted wide receiver, that he's also going to be able to help George Kittle. Now, I think looking at what I see, I think he has potential to be better than Ross Dwelly. Ross Dwelly, even though he is a pretty good pass catcher, I think Quinn Morris has more upside as far as catching the ball. And then, just to have, another guy to work with Kittle, I think that this will help, you know, bring a little bit of nuance to, certain formations and trickery that we can do within the Shanahan offense. So Quinn Morris, converted wide receiver, I think this is a good opportunity to take advantage of all the different formations that we can put on each defense each and every week.
How big is this guy? Cool. Is he a big guy?
He's 6'3". He's 6'3". He's 250.
Oh
So
yeah,
he's
that'll
put on
work.
some weight.
Anything over 240, I'm
He's
delighted. Yeah,
he's put on some weight, since the early days when he converted over to wide receiver. So
yeah.
yeah,
Because
he one
because
thing
he's
he
had to do
does
some
need to
work on the
work on.
line.
Yeah, he does need to work on blocking, but I'm sure that you put him put him and get him in the camp that we can that's something we can work with. We can mold him. We can get him to get better at blocking techniques and so forth. But I was looking more as the pass catching ability and stuff like that. But yes, we definitely want to get him up to speed on just doing the necessary blocking you're going to have to do uh, in this offense.
I like that. Because be a big strong. Because Ross Dwelly, see, the thing about Ross, cool. Ross Dwelly, he's that, he becomes the invisible man out there, but he's getting things done. If the camera pans on him, he's set our runners loose on a number of occasions with perfectly timed blocks. So Ross is going to be that guy. I think Shannon's going to like him because he's such a blue collar guy. But you know what? I do like your idea of getting that star out there that can take the pressure off of George as far as offensive threat. And Ross doesn't provide that. Ross catches a lot of things that are, well, the defense just didn't bother to bother him. But every now and then he makes a catch between a couple of guys. Ross Dwelly is going to be tough to beat out, though. So what do we bring in? Because we still got the kid from last year.
Warner.
Which one? Warner, yeah. I'm still wondering how he did last
Well,
year.
I was thinking of Quinn Morris more as a bigger um, Delaney Walker.
Ah,
Delaney Walker is a converted wide receiver playing tight end, but Quinn Morris is a bigger guy, but in the same mold as Delaney Walker. So I was thinking more on that end that maybe we can reinvent Delaney Walker into a Shanahan offense.
that'd be so awesome. I think we had
Yeah.
talks with Delaney Walker because he's out of Tennessee, right? I think everybody's jumping up and down because could we be bringing Walker to San Francisco? It's a little late in his career and everything. But God, anybody next to George that requires attention would be a plus. So I see where you're going with that. That makes sense to me.
Well, I just thought this was a great opportunity to get a guy like that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be there, at 172. So it made all the sense in the world for me to, say, hey, let's take a look at it.
All right. No problem.
All right. So of course, I could not go through this draft without looking at edge rusher. I mean, we
Yeah.
have D Ford, and I heard D Ford he might be able to play this year. We just signed we
Ah,
just signed Sampson, you know, and we got Jordan Willis and Ronald Blair. If he passes this physical, I don't know if he passed the physical or not,
yeah. No word
but
on that.
he has the
Yeah.
possibility of being back. But I was thinking of this young man, you know, for the round five. So it's round five, pick 180. Uh, edge rusher, defensive end from Buffalo. His name is Malcolm Kuntz. He's 6'2", 249. So he's a little on the light side, but he has a lot of speed. He gets off the ball very quickly, and I think if you add some more weight to him, I think he'll be okay.
Because we got to be careful to stay out of that Solomon Thomas thing. You know, Solomon, he was. They said he was undersized when he came into the NFL, and his undersized. But yeah, still though, cool. You, Solomon Thomas. I don't know what the problem was there. He was. Aaron Donald's not big. Well, Aaron Donald's actually not. Can't use Aaron Donald. There's other. Aaron's a rock is the thing about him. He uses leverage and the things you're supposed to use when you're a guy of that stature. But Solomon just never could really get off. And maybe we were misusing him, like everybody says. But yeah, but if this guy, we'll see. Malcolm Kuntz.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking, okay, so 6'2", 249. He adds a little bit more weight to his frame.
Lots.
Because he has good leverage to get around a tackle, but he needs to add a little bit more bulk up top to push away, tackles. But I mean, the body of work is there. I mean, he has
Mm.
the tools and he knows what to do. It's just that at the next level, you're going to have to beef up just a little bit to be competitive with some of these bigger tackles here in the NFL.
Mm.
So I was just thought, because originally I was uh, just to throw you off, but originally I was looking in the second round. I was looking at Carlos Basham from Wake Forest, and I thought he would be the perfect edge rusher for our team. But I said, you know what, we need to get a corner, and that was the most important thing at that time. So that's why I went edge over here in the bottom of the fifth round.
Mm. Not a bad idea. Because we don't, you got Samson. I don't, Samson, everybody keeps saying, yeah, don't look for a lot from Samson. Samson's going to be athletic. He's going to do things like an outside linebacker can do. But as far as him being a dynamic edge presence, probably shouldn't expect that much. You figure with Nick on the other side, the work of the other guy is going to be made a lot easier. So Sampson's really athletic. I think the 49ers may have the right idea, though. And if this guy that you talk about is really athletic, he could work out too. You don't have to be huge, but being quick is going to be the thing. Because you're gonna have to. That's gonna cause enough diversion that now you can let your Eric Armsteads and your Javon Kinlaws can be a little more brutal in the interior too. So it's all a strategy, depending on types.
Right. I mean, Ronald Blair was in that same situation when they drafted him out of Appalachian State.
Mm-hmm.
Same scenario. I mean, he came in, small school. Not too many people knew about him. But and he was actually a Trent Baalke pick. Imagine that.
Yeah,
And
I
Trent
remember that.
Baalke had. I mean, I really like Ronald Blair, and I really hope that they find a way to keep him, and that he's injury free, and that we can get uh, him to play all over again this year. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping on.
Oh, I hope so. That knee has got to be right because Ronald Blair is dynamic. I love him. It's just like Sally used to say: if you want to win, put Ronnie in. I used to love that. And sure enough, Blair would come in. You'd always know when he was on the field. Him and Kerry Hyder, they're cut from the same cloth. If Hyder's in the game, you know he's in the game. Blair's in the game, everybody knows he's in the game. He never disappears.
Right? These are
Always
lunch
has
pail guys,
impact.
straight up lunch
Huh?
pail guys.
Yeah.
They just come to work,
Yeah.
come to work. Not flashy, just come to work, and
I love
that's
it.
what you need.
You got to have that.
That's what you need.
You get 2 or 3 of those guys, you're going to be tough. So, yeah.
So, round six, pick 194. Um, I know that we don't have a history of really drafting running backs in the
Regular.
Shanahan Lynch era.
Yeah.
Even though Joe Williams was a complete bust, I come up with a guy. I came in with a guy that I think is perfect for this offense. And this is his name is Khalil Herbert. He's a running back from Virginia Tech. He transferred from Kansas. Um, he's short in stature, so let's say he's 5'9", 205. But one thing you have to understand about this guy, from the waist
Balance.
down, he's like a truck. So I mean, he's well built, and it runs really low to the ground. And thing about it is, his team, the team that he played on, Virginia Tech, they excelled at zone block, and so he's already been through, a system
Similar
like
to what we're
the
doing.
49er system is run
Yeah.
blocking. And so if you go ahead and check him out on YouTube, you'll see how he hits those holes, and it's like the open sea is right in front of him. This guy can run. Once he hits that hole, he's gone. And
Good
so
speed.
he's not the fastest guy, but he knows how to hit that hole. And then we all know that the last couple of years of our running backs, we can't keep running backs healthy enough. Mostert, I love him. He's very talented and everything, but he always seems to come down with an injury the last 2 years. You know, I mean, all these guys, Hasty coming over, coming, he's
Shoulder.
recuperating from a collarbone issue,
Yeah.
and I mean, Wilson Jr., he runs hard as well. I mean, these guys are all undrafted, free agent.
Mm.
One thing I will say about Adam Peters, he knows how to find guys that people look the other way on. But
Yep.
this guy, he's gonna get drafted. Khalil Herbert is gonna get drafted, and I think that you know he's not flashy. He's not Najee Harris. He's not you know um, Rondé Moore or a good way to put it is that he's not flashy, but he's gonna get the job done. And I think that the zone blocking scheme that he's used to running in, this is tailor made for this system is tailor made for a guy like this. And I'm sure that if they can bring him in, he's gonna challenge one of those two guys behind Mostert for more playing time. So when you have guys that are ready to play, it's more the merrier. And
Mm.
so you can never have enough running backs,
Right.
in the closet, ready to go.
And like you say, we go through an average of 4 to 5 running backs every year. It's insane. And cool. When you look at Jeffrey Wilson Jr., Wilson Jr. became he that leg. Did you see him on the sidelines? I forget which game that was. You could tell he was in incredible pain. He was wincing.
Right.
He was reaching down towards the camera was on the whole time. I guess he didn't know. A few minutes later, he's out in the field running like he always runs. Wilson Jr. has figured out pain and how to deal with it and do your job. Because Wilson Jr. was the most reliable guy we had last year, which is crazy. Wilson Jr.
See,
is like amazing.
see the way you just said it. There's two different types of players in the NFL. You got guys that have stuff handed to them. You got guys that got to work for it, and the guys that have to work for it, they're gonna put their all into it, their whole heart into it. And so sometimes when you're not a first round pick or second round pick and you're an undrafted free agent, you got to work even harder than the next guy. But you know what? That's where heart comes in
Yeah.
because you know what? When it all comes down to it, there's going to be a bust. There's going to be guys drafted in the first round that aren't going to make it. You're going to see undrafted free agents. They're going to make it. So it all depends on where your heart is at. If you got that drive and the heart to succeed, you can do it. But you're going to want to do it. And so, like I said, Wilson Jr. has heart. Mostert, he has heart. These guys, you know, they know what it is to be on the bottom. So the only way to the top is you got to be try to be better than everybody else. And so you got to run hard. You got to give it your all. You just gotta show that you can
Even
do
if
it.
it hurts, just let it hurt. I'm playing.
That's
I
it.
love that attitude. Yeah, we got it. You know, broken bones though, because the running back that came in with the great jump cuts, boy, what was his name? Collarbone injury.
Oh, Hasty.
Hasty was man, he was fun to watch until they took him out.
Right.
I said, man, these
Yeah,
guys.
he's gonna be back. He's gonna be back, and I heard that he's healed up pretty good and he's ready to go. So we bring in 5 or 6 running backs. We can stash, two on the practice squad, because you
You
never know
better.
when you're going to need to bring
Oh,
somebody up.
it's a must.
Exactly.
You got to have at least 2 running backs on that practice squad. Absolutely, it is a must. And it's so important. They got to know what we're doing. They've got to know the plays. Because when that given Sunday or Monday or Thursday, whatever night it is, comes, we can call him up and he can come in and hit the ground running. Absolutely. Oh God, yes. So, all right, who you got at number 6? What?
No, this is no,
Are
we're
we at
down. We're
7?
down to
Oh, Cool.
round
We just did
7.
that.
Pick
Okay.
230.
So,
This is the last pick of the draft, and I was looking at the game with Trey Lance against Central Arkansas, and I know that the GM from last week, I'm trying to remember his name, but he also brought up Robert Rochelle, who is the cornerback from Central Arkansas. This guy is very athletic, and I was watching some clips on him. His vertical guy, he can leap. I mean, he literally has like maybe 4 feet, might be even 5 feet off the ground vertical. This guy can leap. He's only he's only 6 feet tall, but he plays bigger than he is, and he's
that's a
very
lot of
athletic.
vertical. That's a huge
Yeah,
vertical.
yeah. This guy he's got hops, and so when you're playing corner, you're playing safety, you're out there in a defensive backfield. When you have a you know a way to get to passes that most people can't get to because you can leap or
Mm-hmm.
you can find a way to get your hands on them. That's something that's God has given that to you.
Mm-hmm.
He's given that to you where you can leap and that athleticism just kicks in. So I'm telling you, I mean, he's a diamond in the rough. I think that, even though he's from a small school and a lot of these picks that I come up with, I look at gems in smaller schools but they're also, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of GMs and a lot of scouts that see these guys all the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
Robert Rochelle, I think that if you get him in here and he plays along with Jason Barrett and Kwan Williams. This guy has a chance to make this team, and not on the practice squad. Actually, a chance to make this team because we have a lot of open spots here at cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the camp is going to be, very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So bring these guys in and let's see who makes the cut. Because I know one thing from what I saw, this guy has the talent. He can make it. He can make this team.
And Cool, I trust you on that because you have an eye for talent. Cool, you know what's so funny though? You mentioned something that I don't think a lot of organizations may not have Cool. Do you know how many scouts we have out there? I wonder sometimes, is it possible? Do you have enough personnel to cover all the ground you need to cover within the amount of time that you have to get back to the table to discuss? Because the 49ers, as you mentioned, we seem to find people that others, Adam Peters is like incredible with that. We seem to find people that nobody knew about. Because Dre Greenlaw still freaks me out. How was he missed? And then you figure, as I say, some organizations may not have enough personnel out there covering the country, or what? How do these people get discovered and put into a 49er uniform? And actually, the Broncos used to have that kind of personnel rolling around all the time, which used to freak me out. And I used to always say, well, how come the Broncos? Those guys are like not even going to make the team, and they're just raising hell. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you talked about scouts and things like that. I'm gonna bring up a name, a blast from the past. Okay, Scott McCloughan, who was the 49er GM many moons ago. That guy knew talent more than anybody I have ever encountered. As far as be able to pick these guys. I mean, look, he's been the GM of the Washington football team. He's been the GM for 49ers. He's been the GM with the Seahawks. I'm just gonna throw some names at you, the players that he had an input on and he drafted. And then you think about what has Kyle Shanahan, what has John Lynch, what have they brought to the table? I mean, you got guys like Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, Delaney Walker, Patrick Willis, Deshaun Goldson, Ricky Jean Francois, Anthony Davis, Mike Upati, Navarro Bowman, Joe Staley. And that's just 49ers. I'm just talking about 49ers off the bat.
He picked
You know what he did
that
with the
team
Seahawks?
that Balky took
You
credit
know what he
for.
did with the Seahawks? Listen what he did with the Seahawks. He had Earl Thomas, Russell Wilson, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, um, Bobby Wagner. Look, all those guys. Maxwell, he plays the cornerback position. He knows talent probably better than anybody, and he passed that along. He passed that philosophy on to what Seattle's doing. If we can just get that back, I think that they need to turn Adam Peters loose. In my opinion, they need to let him do his job because I think that Kyle Shanahan is handcuffing this guy
You think
from
so?
not
That
doing
was what I
his
was going to ask
job.
you.
Yes, I do.
Huh.
I do because I think that there's so much opportunity to get some really good players in here, and please don't mess up not pick number 3. That's all I'm saying. Please do not
Cool,
mess up.
you know how you outline why it's not going to be Mac Jones. That's the truth. And also, when's the last time that any player got that much hype and was brought over to well, you know what? Solomon Thomas was. And I was crying about that the entire 3 weeks before the draft because his name just kept traveling up the draft. The ranking just kept going up, and I didn't pay any attention, right? I said, guys, Solomon Thomas is being overrated, okay? He is not in the top 10. And pretty soon he was in the top 5. I said, you know what? Why is Solomon Thomas still traveling up the draft board? And before you know it,
Right.
yes, there he is. He's at the top of the draft, right next to Garrett. I said, no, he's not Miles. Oh, and then you had people coming in saying things about he may be better than Miles Garrett. I said, what? And before you know it, the San Francisco 49ers select Solomon Thomas, and of course, I lost it. I just couldn't believe that. And there we were. So, I don't think it's going to be
Don't be
happening again.
shocked. Don't be shocked. The 49ers trade back up into the first round.
Oh, yeah,
Into
I can see
somewhere
that.
in the 20 range. Somewhere in the 20 range. Look, there's a couple players on their radar. Najee Harris and Kadarius Toney. Don't be
And Najee
surprised
wants to come back here so
they
bad.
trade up. Yeah, any California. Anyway,
That's it.
don't be surprised if they trade up into the 20s, to grab one of those two players. because the way Kyle Shanahan thinks, he's I think he's come to a realization that he loves Mostert, he loves Jess Wilson Jr., but we need a guy who's going to be more of an every down back that's not going to get hurt.
I
We
agree.
have the same situation with the quarterback situation. They I mean, we as 49er fans, we've been through it all with Trent Baalke picking injured players and stashing them on IR for a year. We have to get in the frame of mind. We need to get guys. Fred Warner is a perfect example. That guy plays through injuries and hasn't got hurt. Knock on wood. So we need to get back to basics and think of being smart and even though we're getting these guys that are performers, we need to get somebody who's solid as well.
Exactly.
Somebody who can take a lot of pounding. So Najee Harris
Cool.
would be,
Cool.
in
You know what?
reality, he would be a perfect.
Let me go over your draft real quick. Though, refresh everybody on this. All right, round one, it was Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. You know the name well. You've heard it a lot in the last few weeks. Round two, Tyson Campbell, cornerback, Georgia. Round three, Quinn Miner. Hey, is it Miners?
Miners.
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 Quinn Miners, offensive guard. Somebody asked about that. Callie asked about that third round pick. That's Quinn Miners, offensive guard, UW Whitewater. Also, round four, Talanoa. Am I get that? I always get
Talanoa Hufanga.
the vowels of those. Talanoa Hufanga, safety, USC. Actually, Slick from the SoCal area has been keeping an eye on. He says Troy Polamalu has been mentoring Hufanga since high school. You probably already know about that as well, huh?
I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. He plays just like him.
Hey, and round five, is that She Smith?
Shy Smith.
Shy Smith, wide receiver, South Carolina, got lots of speed. And in round five, it's Quentin Morris, tight end, Bowling Green. And round five, Malcolm Kuntz, defensive end, Buffalo. Khalil Herbert in round six. Khalil Herbert, running back, Virginia Tech, as Kool just mentioned. We need a back that's draft worthy to come in and see if he can carry the load. And you know what? I got a feeling, Kool, that the 49ers may be thinking, I don't even know if they're going to wait that late in this draft to get a premier college running back to see if it makes a difference from what they've been doing for the last 4 years. We could see that. In round seven, Robert Rochelle, cornerback, Central Arkansas, with all kind of athleticism. Anytime a guy can leap off the ground 4 feet in the air, that's going to shock any receiver in the NFL, especially if you thought you were going to take advantage of him. Woo! I like it. Oh, man. Hey, and Kool, it's a Quest for Six says, solid draft, but why did you take Lance over... I know what this is. A Quest for Six is Lee. So why'd you take Lance over Black Zeus? Faster, tougher, more accurate arm, and more tested. Also, thoughts on Elijah Moore, wide receiver, Ole Miss. You get all that, Kool?
I love Elijah Moore. He's the real deal. Rondale Moore is even more of a real deal. And then since you bring up Elijah, I like Elijah Molden. He'd be a perfect slot corner for Washington. If I was able to have another second, third round pick, that's where I would lean. But yeah,
you got to go that high to get him too, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
And the debate is going to be Lance versus Fields. Kool. If you're hit with that argument, you're sitting at the big table, right? And the big board is there, they got those two names up there. What kind of argument you got to bring to counter Fields, who is really also a big fan favorite? People are not talking about Zach Wilson that much anymore because everybody assumes he's going to New York, but that might not be possible. That might not happen either, although far-fetched. But what would you offer is anything that would actually make Lance the preferred choice?
Well, don't get me wrong, Rambo. I love Fields. I think he's legit. legit. I think that this is the way I think of it. If they draft Fields, I think Garoppolo is gone that day because I think they I'm just thinking how Shanahan thinks, and I think that if they get Fields, then they're going to trade Jimmy right away. And like I said, maybe pick 46 and 120 might be able to do it from the Patriots. I already posted that on the YouTube chat. Somebody was asking me about that. But I will say that Lance has the highest ceiling. I think Lance is the he's this year's Mahomes. So I think this is what I'm thinking. If they draft Trey Lance, they're going to keep Jimmy G. He'll be here momentarily till either somebody gets hurt before October and needs a quarterback, or B, they let him play out this contract for this year, and then do what the Alex Smith Mahomes deal that Kansas City did, and find a way to unload him after this coming year. Now, Jimmy G is going to have to do two things, or he's going to have to do one thing if he stays. And so we all know that he's going to get $26.9 million this year. So, and I'm sure that this is going to be brought up because this is a salary cap ramification. You're going to have to get him to agree to redo this contract to make it even more salary cap advantageous for the 49ers. So maybe they'll give him that $20 million. Maybe they'll say, okay, we'll give you $10 million up front as a bonus, and then we'll pay you $5 million for the rest of the year. And so in reality, it might cost you $15 million, and then you're a done deal after this year. If they get the guy that they want, and which I think is Trey Lance.
Compelling argument, Kool. Kool, but do you believe in locker room diplomacy? The team pretty much feels like they can roll with Jimmy. Jimmy's already proven that they can roll together. This being the second full year with Shannon, you would expect that Jimmy would they'd all be able to click and get some of the things done. You don't consider a step back at all to go ahead and start a rookie, I can see. Is that what you're feeling?
I think if it's Lance, they might give it a little bit more time for him to get acclimated to the offense. But really, do they not know that this guy is a bookworm, and he'll catch on to the offense and the playbook faster than they think, because he's really the most unknown quarterback in this draft. And I think that if you get that playbook in front of him, I think that he can soak it in. Then, it's funny that this week they go and sign Sudfeld, the former Eagle backup. And then you got Josh contract.
Yeah.
So between those two guys, they better get in their playbook right away, like tomorrow. Start studying that playbook, because one of those two guys is not going to make the cut. And so
Josh Allen is supposed to be competing against Sudfeld at a way less salary, which is very interesting. That thing with Sudfeld's pay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they gave Sudfeld more money, so he's the one that's expected to make the cut. But whoever between those two, whoever it's going to be, you have to be like on top of your game, because Garoppolo could be gone tomorrow. Then you're stuck at being the second stringer. If this rookie comes in, or whoever it's going to be, so I can see there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen. I mean, Ronbo, don't get me wrong. I mean, Jimmy G, he's a good quarterback when he can play. But I think that you have to look at the way the NFL is built now. You need somebody who can run,
can move around
from pressure.
I know.
And so,
I hear that every day.
Even though we like Garoppolo, we really need to get somebody who's mobile enough to avoid the pass rush. And that's the only knock that I have besides him being injured most of the time and
Well,
not being mobile. Well, I had
that
that thing with all three quarterbacks last year.
that
None of them
that
were
is,
mobile enough to avoid the pass rush.
that injury thing though. Do you actually think though? What I want to know is, and I want to see too, because I'm curious about it for that reason too. Okay, what you saw with Nick, CJ, and Jimmy, something very similar between all three of them style in that pocket. I am convinced this is what Kyle is asking for. He wants you to sit in that pocket and navigate. This is why when everybody says get a mobile quarterback, I'm not. How do you? Is Shannon going to rewrite his philosophy and change his system? This is why Mac Jones might actually still be very much in the mix because he doesn't want you bolting and running from pressure when there's somebody open. Because Kyle Shanahan's offensive philosophy is there's always somebody open. I designed this play. So if you can do like I tell you, because Jimmy changed in that second year after that 2017 season, he was moving around, he was navigating in the pocket, he was running and directing players, and then the next year, 2018, when he learned the playbook, all of a sudden, all of that stopped, and he stand in the pocket, even when it wasn't a good idea. And he would navigate from there, and he would get clobbered every now and then. Every now and then he'd go ahead and move on his own. And Kyle finally started running more play action. But it's very eerie, the similarities between all three of those guys. I have a feeling that
Yeah, they're
Shanahan.
all. Yeah, well, this is the thing. Shanahan has to understand the NFL's changing, and I
Will
don't
he, though?
care. I really, he's got to check his ego. It's all an ego thing.
It's
It's
asking a
like
lot.
my offense is gonna work, and you're gonna make it work. No, you
Well,
have to adapt. You have to
you know,
adapt to
you
the
know
way
he thinks
things
like,
are.
he thinks like that, Kool, because I think if Jimmy
You
left to his
have
own
to adapt.
devices, if he were left to his own devices, I think you'd see something quite different. Because when he came to us, that wasn't who he was. Everybody blames it on his legs and everything. I say, yeah, maybe. But when I look at him and I look at CJ and I look at Nick, they all look similar behind center. Why? That's not normal. They're all different people. We'll see, though, because what you're right, Shanahan should redesign your offense, Kyle, for the quarterback's strengths. Jimmy, you know what? Jimmy throws over 100 point something when he's on play action. And then Kyle says, no, stand in the shotgun. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, this is not going to work. And we don't have the receivers to actually, we didn't have up until this year. We didn't always have the receivers that can actually execute the kind of stuff that Kyle was wanting. I don't know what's going on in practice. Maybe the receivers look different, but when they got in the games, guys were not gaining separation. They were late on their routes and things like that. I said, we got a mess going on here. But hopefully, and this is why I'm saying for a young quarterback coming in, this is going to look like Greek to him. And that's why I'm saying it's going to take a time to adjust. This is why it scares the bejesus out of me to think this Super Bowl ready team is going to go into 2021 with a kid that's still got to learn. And contrary to what some people believe, Kyle Shanahan's system is no joke. It is not easy to grasp in the beginning. So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. I still think that you look you every year you play Kyle Kyle Murray twice a year,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson twice a year.
Different offenses.
You can see what's happening on the other end. It shows that when you're in trouble, you have to scramble. You should be able to understand that, you know what? I see that these two guys are doing. I see what Mahomes does. I have to get someone that can do that as well. And he's got to be able to see that. I mean, his
Because all of
dad's
us
got to be
do,
able to see
right?
that.
Yeah. All the
Exactly.
fans do. All the fans do. We'll see. The Shanahan's, Mike and Kyle, these guys, and that's why they got ran out of Washington because as usually Norm Snead insisted on the RG3 pick and insisted that they designed a program for him, and Snead and the Shanahans, it's a bitter hatred as they went down in round 4 and picked out Kirk Cousins. Why did you do that? You guys could have got RG3 another weapon or something. No, you went and got your own quarterback, did you? And that's why I tell you, to ask these Shanahans to make a change, we still need to be scared about Mac Jones. Really do. Because Jones, he checks all the Shanahan boxes. It's scary. I don't
No,
want him either.
it's scary. It's really
You know,
scary.
but
If they make that
yeah.
move, it's almost like creating a crime, but you didn't create a crime. But it's like you committed a crime. The
Yeah.
3 picks and a third. That's 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 really
And didn't need to.
that's really
But
difficult.
somebody said there was a rumor going around that Belichick was sniffing around. And that's when the 49ers broke for the top of the draft. And no. Nobody's going to beat us out. And they may have went to the Jets first, and the Jets says, nah, we're keeping our pick. So they go to the Dolphins, and they make that move. I think the 49ers overshot to make sure that nobody stops them. Because let's face it, Kool, this is a career-ending or continuing move. The 49ers failed on this, they got big trouble. So if Kyle goes up and get a quarterback, it better be somebody or something he believes in. This is why I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm thinking Mac is still in the mix. Hopefully not, but he might really be.
Right. And the thing about it is that um, he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback guru. You got you got a couple guys that know how to coach up quarterbacks. And to me, the best scenario is to get somebody like Fields or Lance that can actually that can actually be mobile enough to work within a system when things break down.
They can do
Because
the thing.
tell you when things break down and Mac's there, it's gonna be, a tackling dummy all day. So you got he doesn't have look, Alabama had the best offensive line in college football. I mean, they did. They got guys.
It,
They got at least
it
3
was
guys that are going to go in the first round.
in the first 10. They got
As
10 guys.
far as
Cool, Cool, it's more about the release. Process and release. This is essential in Shanahan's system. Process, read, release. Don't take long. He doesn't want your offensive line out there struggling. He wants that ball out of that quarterback's hands within 2 to 3 seconds. Routes
right,
have to
why
be
you?
ran
I think you
actually
can get. I
perfectly.
think you can get somebody that can do that without trading. You know, the,
The athleticism.
the whole draft away. You can get somebody. I mean, I would have been happy for them to stand number 12 and even trade down. I was happy if they would have went after Kellen Mond myself, because I think
I've
he
heard his
can
name a
do
few
all those
times.
things.
Yeah.
He can do all those things that Shanahan wants, and they wouldn't have to mortgage the whole future to do that. They could have traded down into the 20s. They could have picked Mond, and they could have picked up a couple extra picks, and things would have been, I
That's
mean, to me,
that's
that would
why
have
it's
been the
even
best scenario. That would have been the
true.
best scenario to me.
That's why it's even more worrisome as to what did they do and why. Did they want Fields? Did they want Lance? Or were they afraid of somebody taking Mac away from them? See, these are things we have to sleep with between now and 29th of this month. Don't do it,
Or
Kyle.
maybe,
It's gonna be so strange if he does.
or maybe they're in play for Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase.
I'll take either one of those guys. My God. Or cool. Or going up there, fooling everybody, and trading down a couple of spots because they know they still get Mac, if that's the case, and pick up a boatload of picks for somebody. And there's a lot of teams that want Fields. There's a lot of teams that want Lance. If the 49ers pull that off, we're all going to be laying on the floor in disbelief. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I see
what a plan.
Denver, and the Washington football team, and even the Patriots trying to make a way to get up to number 7. I
See?
think with trading with Detroit, maybe. I think Detroit is where Detroit's going to get a lot of trade action.
I
They're going
can't
to
believe
be
Detroit's not
calling
trying to move
Detroit.
up. Yeah.
No, I think they're content with having Goff. I mean,
Oh, that's
Goff
right. I
is
forgot.
just
They
so
picked up golf.
overrated.
I forgot about
Yeah,
golf.
but
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that's going to be the trading partner for somebody. Whether and I think it might be the Washington football team might be one of those teams they're going to try to get to number 7. I can almost picture it.
So there you
I
go.
really can.
And one of those guys says, Kyle, I know what you guys got planned, but listen, let me give you 2 first-round picks. What? For what? I need that spot. Hell yeah. Especially you're going to go down a couple of spots. And now, if you're going to flip a coin, if you're going to go get Fields at 3 or Lance, then you say, I'll be happy with Mac. I get those 2 first-round picks back. I get Mac. I pad my own. We get back what we lost. Yeah, we'll do it. See, the scenarios are endless. Although I don't know, it's a strange thing. We'll see. But cool. I
Well,
like your draft.
you could be onto something there, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't see
It
the
doesn't make
value
sense though.
in Mac Jones that high. I just don't see the value. I don't. But that's
Most
just
people
my
don't
opinion.
because he had an all-star offensive line, like you're saying. He had receivers. Listen, cool. I think Bama could have competed in the NFL last season. That was
Exactly.
ridiculous, the talent they had on that team, all over the place. So Mac is probably way overrated and won't do well in the NFL. But maybe I don't. Maybe he will. Hard to tell about guys like that. They said the same thing about Brady, right?
Well, that's two different. Well, first of all, that's two different time frames. When
No.
pocket passer was able to be a pocket passer.
Yeah.
I do think that with Mac, I think that you got 6, count them, 6 guys that are going to be wide receivers by the end of the draft this year. They had 3 last year that were picked, and then they're
Yeah.
going to have 3 this year. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's a factory of for NFL players, and so he was like he, he just walked in to the perfect scenario. When you have good players around you, you can only be good. You can only be great. You got the type of players around you. So I think it's going to be a totally different thing. I mean,
Can't wait.
I don't think
When
he's going to be as good,
as anticipated.
in the NFL as people think he's going to be. But I'm telling you right now, and I put it on the line. I think when it's all said and done, Lance will definitely be the best quarterback in this year's draft,
Could
hands
be.
down.
Could be. He's got just to get a chance. He's got all the tools. We'll see how he develops in the NFL. And it is because so many busts come out of the first round every year. There's usually one of maybe 4 that's going to actually excel, and his game actually does translate to the NFL or whatever is necessary for a quarterback to actually make that jump. We're gonna find out. Cool. We gotta go though. Awesome stuff awesome stuff as usual. And we're going to talk later. Well, hey, Daniel Serrano, check out our brother Tommy Huxley on YouTube. Thanks for that contribution, Daniel. But yeah, all right, cool. Good stuff. And we're going to keep everything you did because I'd like to go back and check and see what Kool did during the draft since after last year's miraculous picks. All right, fam. Thanks, Kool.
It was just things that just fall in place.
Amazing.
It just happens sometimes.
That's brilliance. All right, fam. I'm gonna count it down, and we're gonna smoke on out of here. 3, 2, 1.
Later!
Niners with Koolwhipzz.
Ronbo, it's been a pleasure.
Cool as usual, man. I always love talking football with you, man.